The need for gear is very apparent when you run into a cinder block wall. So guys, let's make sure we're wearing our gear. We have two people right here. We have the rider up front, the rider that's actually going to crash right here with the camera. We're going to be going a little bit too fast, wanting to pass up his buddy. These construction signs actually say be prepared for a stop. We're not paying attention to that. We're going to go too fast, too wide into this brick wall, go over, and you notice we don't have full gear or any gear really other than helmet and gloves. And we're going to turn off the bike and then kind of be like, what happened? Let's figure out what went wrong, what went right, and how we can use that information for ourselves. So what I like to do right off the bat is do a scene size up. And what we have here is the person way up front and the motorcycle rider in the back. Remember, there's always the original video in the description. If you want to send me your own videos, please do so. There's going to be a submission form there also. So we're going to move forward just a little bit, and we see him, he's going to actually try to catch up. So you see all the bumpiness, how the camera's bouncing up and down. That could quite possibly be because of the camera, but I'm assuming it's going to be the road. You see some tar snakes right here, and you see some discolorations, and you see some cracks. So quite possibly that could be the issue here. So now we're going to go ahead and pass up our buddy. So we're going way too fast in this situation. And if we're going to pause right about, let's go ahead and forward a little bit, and it says be prepared to stop. It's a little bit jumblated and pixelated and all those things, but be prepared to stop. This should be your clue to, hey, I probably should take this blind turn relatively slow because I got to be prepared to stop. Remember, signs, roadway signs specifically, are clues to what needs to be happening. So right here, we were not going to focus on that. We're not going to pay attention to it. We're going to go a little bit too fast because we're trying to pass our buddy on that straightaway. We never did slow down before the turn. So what happens here is he's going to go really wide. Now we have this huge view because that blind turn was blocking it, and we can actually see way over here that's where we're going to have to start to stop. You see kind of like a light fixture right here being built, but we're not focused on that. We're focused on what? Trying to beat our buddy to what? The turn? I'm not too sure on this one, but he's going to go too fast, too wide, and now we're going to go straight here, okay? So as much braking power as you possibly can, it's not going to stop you at this speed, especially going downhill on a bad road, possibly a lot of gravel, and we're going to be going towards this brick wall. So he's straightened up, and he's going towards something that he's staring at, okay? So if you commit and commit and commit, you could probably make this turn. But this rider panicked, and what's going to happen here is he's going to go towards the wall. He probably saw this nice gap in the curb and thinking, oh, I could maybe do that. You know, the brain's firing on all cylinders. It only used a little bit of information that possibly had. But what happened here was there's a wall in front of it. We're going to go ahead and go into the wall, flip over, and if you notice he has no gear, I'm very thankful that there's no obvious injuries from what we can see right here. But from what I can tell with the mechanism of injury on this one is that when he goes up and over, he's going to have bilateral femur issues. I don't think it's going to be broken because you're going to see him walking around, but heavy bruising, possibly soft tissue injuries, and he's going to have injuries to his hands, upper body, because he doesn't have any protection whatsoever. We have his helmet right here on his head, and that's going to probably save him from having any type of lacerations to his scalp or his face. It doesn't necessarily stop a concussion. You can still have a concussion with your helmet. But we also see him walking around, and you see the bricks on the ground. You see all that stuff? That's not there earlier. He smashed that brick wall and caused everything to go flying. That much energy, remember, can be transmitted into your body. So what we need to focus on this one is that we need to start paying attention. Let's not let ego drive how we ride. Let's make sure safety is number one. And when we're coming up to a turn and it's blind, let's slow down before the turn. Therefore, we can react better during the turn, okay? So remember, the main things that we're trying to do is to stay safe on the road, stay on the road, and not crash into anything, whether it's our buddy, a wall, a tree, whatever it is. Curves are extremely dangerous. Make sure that we are not using ego and peer pressure to dictate how we ride. Let's have safety dictate how we ride. Pick the good line. Make sure you do slow look, press, and roll. Make sure you are focused on the ride itself. And you know what? In this situation, just let your buddy take the turn and you go behind him. Not a big deal. On top of that, make sure you are wearing your PPE, personal protective equipment. This is the stuff that goes on you, the stuff that goes on your bike, our sliders, and a bunch of other things like engine guards. But let's make sure we have our helmet, gloves, pants, jacket, and boots. Therefore, we stay as safe as we possibly can when something happens like this, whether it's over a wall or a low side into the curb. Let's not make this mistake for ourselves, everybody. Welcome everybody. Today we're going to be talking about this rider that panics and causes his own crash. So this is why we need to stay focused and have smooth inputs on the controls. Oh, we're going to watch this motorcyclist. He's going to move forward. He's going to get in position right in front of the sports car. So we're lane filtering up to the front, and you're going to notice another motorcyclist go right there. And I don't know if this motorcyclist with the camera is going to be like, you know what, I want to catch up and show off. So ego might be a play in this, but look at his hands. Watch the jerky movements. You know, the shifting, the throttle. He's going full speed, almost in the red zone. And then he's going to panic brake right here. Boom, panic brake because he saw the brake lights. He's going to have a lot of lacerations, a lot of injuries, abrasion, everything, but we're going to go ahead and jump into that. If you're looking for a way to put your phone on the motorcycle, why don't you check out Rockform? Great product. I bought it myself and I use it every single day. So what went right, what went wrong, and how we can use that information for ourselves. Now I'm going to look for stuff that went right and what definitely went wrong. And let's go ahead and pick our brains and figure out and be creative with this. If you'd like to submit your own video for accident analysis, make sure you click the link in the description. It's going to be right next to the original video on this one. There's no audio with the original video, so I can't, hear the engine noises. I can't hear any of that stuff. So we're going to go based off of just visualization. So right here, he's going to go up to a red light. Now, this is not the United States. You can tell by the license plates right there. So this is not the United States. This lane filtering is possibly legal here. In the United States, it's not illegal in California, and it's legal in Utah. There are some great guidelines for Utah and everything, so I highly recommend following them. But I just want to say this is what went right for me right here. This image, only this image, is that he is in a position to where he is now going to have great line of sight. People can see where he's at, and if anybody behind him isn't paying attention, they'll hopefully run into the car in front of him because he's off to the side. That is where I typically sit when I am at a red light or a stop sign. But we're going to go ahead and move on to what went wrong because there's not much that went right after this. So he's going to move up front. He's going to lane filter. And you see how he went to this spot? Let's go ahead and scroll back just a little bit. How he did it is he went into the right turn lane without even doing a head check, without checking his mirrors, without anything. So if you guys are ever going to do this, make sure you do a quick head check. You don't know if there's another car coming in. So he's going to go into here, possibly could get hit from a car behind him, didn't even check. He's going to move up front. So right away, I can tell he's going to be a little bit reckless. We got a red light, and we have this motorcyclist right here. Not full gear, but that's not a big deal. He's probably riding his own ride, and honestly, it looks like an old XR 1200 from Harley. I actually like those bikes a lot. But anyways, we're going to have the rider right here. So let's take a look at the speedometer while we're here. It's going to be kilometers per hour. But right here on the right side, look at the RPMs, okay? Obviously, there's all the white all the way to 10,000. But then we're going to see the red zone, 11 and 12,000. You do not want to be in the red zone very long, if not at all. So we're going to watch that. So this motorcyclist is going to go up front, and he's going to go ride. Now it hit green light. You see how this is the typical position. The head goes down. We're about to gun it, gun it, gun it. That is typically what's going to happen when you are not focused on safety and you're only focused on having fun in terms of let's race, race, race. I like to have fun when I'm being safe. I like to pick the best line and see how I can do it. See the jerky movements? See the hands? Those are completely jerky movements. Let's go ahead and scroll back just a little bit. I want you to see this right there. See that right hand? That is 100% throttle. Now, when I said look at the RPMs, look at where the RPMs are at right now. About 9,000 RPMs, or about 100 kilometers an hour. He went 0 to 62 miles per hour. Super fast. Barely outside the intersection. So he's at a high rate of speed already, but we're going to go ahead and watch him go even faster. So he's going faster, faster, one-handed. He's putting on his indication. You see that right there? That's fine and dandy, but we're already going 75 miles an hour from here. We're already in the red zone. He is pinging his bike. Unsure if he's trying to meet up with the rider up ahead, possibly show off or say hi or look at the bike. It's a great looking bike. Who knows? But I want you to pay attention now, since we already know what he's doing with his hands. Very jerky movements, very not smooth movements. Smooth is what's going to save your life in a lot of these situations. But look at the people up front. You're going to see brake lights. These are your clues that something's going to happen. Now we have an open road, quite a bit of space cushion here, but might not be enough for the braking distance. But the way he handles his braking, the front brake, 0 to 100% braking, just like he does 0 to 100% throttle. You cannot do that. So let's watch real quick. So right here, boom, reached for it. He reached for the brakes. So watch his right hand, everybody. He's very fast with the shifting. He's in the red zone. He's going possibly 80 miles an hour. He's going to go ahead and he's going to pull in that clutch and shift. He's in the middle of shifting with his right hand. He went 0 to 100% by the time he left the friction zone out of his left hand on the clutch. And as soon as he does that, he's going to grab with 3 fingers to that front brake because he sees the brake lights up ahead. And when he slams those brakes, he loses all traction to that front wheel and it's going to dive. That is what's going to happen when you go from 0 to 100% braking pressure. There's a thing called progressive brake pressure, guys, and progressive brake pressure means you're going 0, 10%, 20%, 30%, 40%, 50%, 60%, 70%, all the way to 100%. You should go 10, 20, 30, 40, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100. Now, you can go fast. You can do that smoothly, but it's still going to be 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, all that stuff. You go quick. Okay, you don't skip a step. You don't go from 10% brake pressure to 90% brake pressure. You go 10, 20, 30 smoothly. Think of it as like squeezing an orange and you're trying to get the orange juice. You do not smash it. You're going to get orange juice everywhere. It's going to be a mess. You're going to grab it, you're going to squeeze it, and while you get some orange juice coming out, you're going to squeeze harder and harder and harder and harder and harder. Think of that as your brake pressure, guys. When you go from 0 to 100% like this guy did, you're going to dump your bike, especially at these speeds. And the reason why I say grabbing this, look at his hand movements. We're going to go ahead and scroll back just a little bit. His hand movements are very jerky. They're not smooth. When they're not smooth, you're not going to have a good time. So with that information that we talked about, I want you to watch this one more time. Therefore, you can see exactly what I'm saying. You know, jerky movements need to be smooth because if you're going to be in an emergency, you're going to make a smooth movement. It's going to be fast though. Jerky and fast is not good. Smooth and fast is what you want. So let's watch this. He's going to go up to here. He's going to move into this position, not do a head check. He's going to get in front of the sports car. He's going to see this really nice XR 1200 probably from Harley. This guy's going to want to catch up to him. Boom, green light. He's going to go. And he's going to go from 0 to 78, 80 miles an hour super quick. We're roughly about 60 miles now and 70 to 80 miles an hour right now in the red zone. Very bad movements. Boom, jerky movements, split second, crashed. And this is also going to be a need for gear. I want you to take a look at his knee right here. So his knee has been demolished. Now this right here needs to be proper gear, okay? If you're going to have motorcycle jeans, you might have a rip like this, but underneath motorcycle jeans with armor, you're going to have something that's going to protect you. So armor is going to be an impact-resistant material. So when you impact something, let's say you fall down right now and you put your hands out, you want to have pads on your hands, right? You want to have pads on your shoulders if you fall to your shoulders. It's not necessarily just abrasion resistance. It's also impact resistance. And abrasion resistance is going to help you from getting, basically sandpapered to death on the road like this. All this right here is sandpapering you down. And that's the point of having gear. Now this guy has full gear. You can see the gloves. You can obviously has a helmet. He has a jacket. You see the motorcycle boots. And then also he has some type of heavy duty pants. Quite possibly it could have been some type of motorcycle pants with armor in it, but that's exactly why you need to have armor. Make sure you guys are wearing your gear. Make sure you guys are being smooth with the inputs. The only way you become smooth is if you practice, practice, practice. So check out the DDFMcrew.com website, and that is going to give you a lot of information on how to be smooth, because if you do not practice, you're never going to be smooth when it comes to an emergency. Emergencies cause a panic, causes people to drop the bike, causes people to do weird things, and that is what you don't want to do. I'll see you guys later. As a motorcycle rider, we cannot assume other drivers will see us. So if we are doing something reckless, there's a good chance we're gonna get a really bad reward for that. This video is coming from California. It's gonna be a motorcycle rider traveling at a high rate of speed, lane filtering between the HOV and the rest of the traffic. We're gonna have a car come from the left HOV lane, wanting to merge to the right and clip the motorcycle rider. We're gonna figure out why this happened and how we can use that information for ourselves. Okay, right off the bat, I wanna talk about the high rate of speed, the lane filtering etiquette, and some rider assumptions that cars are not gonna hit him because he's doing what he feels like he's supposed to be doing. Let's go ahead and figure out what went right in the situation, what went wrong in the situation, how we can use this what-if scenario for ourselves, and so we can prevent it for ourselves. So right here, he's going to be lane filtering. Let's go ahead and move forward just a little bit. Now, when you lane filter, this is all the room you really get, okay? So let's go ahead and scroll back just a little bit. When you lane filter, you don't get a lot of room. The main thing you want to do is ride on the line and at a slower speed. Okay, for me personally, when I'm traveling to California, I won't go above 10 over the stopped or slowed traffic. I'm not going to go 30 or 40 or 50 over like this motorcycle rider is doing. The one thing I want you guys to understand when it comes to escape routes is that if you are traveling, let's go ahead and scroll back just a little bit. Let's say you are traveling and both these vehicles right here slammed the brakes. Where are you going to go? Are you going to swerve all the way to the left? Are you going to swerve all the way to the right? What are you going to do? The one thing I want you guys to understand when it comes to lane filtering is that this is an example of how much room you really need to move your motorcycle between traffic. So you can actually use this portion right here as an escape path. See the line of sight, how you can see very far down the road. This is a good lane position also. So when you are traveling and you're stuck between two vehicles like this, go ahead and scoot back just a little bit. Give yourself a little bit more space cushion about right here. Let's ignore this car right here to the left. But let's say that you're traveling right here and you have two vehicles and both of them slam the brakes because of something happened. Maybe you weren't paying attention. All these different things. Now you're gonna have to do an emergency maneuver, and what you can do instead of swerving all the way to the left to get to the shoulder or trying to swerve all the way to the right, let's say it's all open over there, you can apply the brakes and try to slow down, but then you can also use this portion right here as an escape path. Look at, you can go right here and let's just say now you stop. Okay, now you have plenty of room. You use that escape path to stop because these people stop for a reason, possibly have some debris in the road and stuff like that. So this is what I believe is good in this scenario, is that this is a good example of what you can do just in case. Now, for the bad part, this is not how you're supposed to lane filter at a high rate of speed. So we're going to keep moving. You see how high rate of speed he's going. Now, here's one tip. This is the reason why he actually crashes a little bit later, he gets clipped, is that you see these gaps in traffic, okay? So this car right here on the left is not going to turn right because of the red car, correct? Okay, well, what about, let's go ahead and scroll back. What about this white car? This white car has plenty of time, plenty of room, plenty of everything to move over to the right. Same thing with the black car right there, it can move over to the left. That is a clue that, hey, this is a possible hazard. More than likely, when you get to this position, these two vehicles aren't really possible hazards unless they kind of squish in a little bit, but more than likely they're going to maintain their path of travel. The only ones that are going to be real possible hazards is now this blue car. He could easily switch over. Maybe he wants to get over to the exit on the next exit, so he has to start moving over. Can't see you because you are lane filtering at a higher rate of speed. Can't judge your speed. Can't judge where you are in space and time. And then also if you look at the shadows of these vehicles, the shadow of the motorcycle rider is ahead of the motorcycle rider. That means the sun is to the back. So if anybody is trying to merge lanes and they're looking into the mirrors, they have sun in their eyes. That is something that you need to take in consideration when you're doing something like this. That more than likely the drivers are not going to see you because they can't judge your speed, they can't see you because of the sun, and they are more focused on trying to make that quick lane change because there's so much traffic. So they probably won't use an indicator. They're just going to take whatever is there. So we're going to move forward just a little bit. This is also another hazard. This person can move to the left. This person can move to the right. Now we're getting to the spot where it's starting to back up, and more than likely you're not going to have anybody wanting to move over, but we're going to have this one spot right here. That is exactly what I'm talking about. I don't see any indication or anything right here from this Prius, and that is an open spot. But the one indication I see, so I'm going to go ahead and scroll back right here. This is where the Prius is straight forward. Once we get to about right here, you see the tires starting to turn. You see the whole vehicle starting to turn. Where the nose and headlights are pointing is where the car is going to go. But the motorcycle rider is traveling at high rate of speed. Now, if he's going to be applying the brakes, he has a very shortened distance to stop. So at this point, you're going to have to try to slow down your absolute best and then make an evasive maneuver to the right or left after we get past these vehicles. So at this point, you should have been slowing down, and then if you had to, you can make an evasive maneuver to the right, and you have this nice open escape path right here. An escape path doesn't necessarily have to be a perfect lane. It just needs to be an opening where you can put your motorcycle. So right here, for me, if I was slowing down because I saw the vehicle starting to pull over, this is going to be my escape path right here. I've already slowed down my speed. Now I'm going to swerve to the right. I'm not going to apply the brakes. I'm braking. Then I'm going to release the brakes and then swerve. And then if I have to, I will go ahead and lane filter in between these vehicles. And we're going to go ahead and see these vehicles and kind of how everything is situated. So I'm going to swerve, miss this. But now I have another escape path between vehicles, just like lane filtering. This is why it's super important to understand that lane filtering gives you an idea of what you can do. Doesn't necessarily mean you should be lane filtering at a high rate of speed, but it gives you that idea of, hey, this is right here. the distance between vehicles, I can easily make it between there, okay? So that might be something you want to practice if you're able to do so in California and Utah or outside of the United States. So I would have swerved. Let's go ahead and go back just a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and pretend that this is going to be a what-if situation. I see the vehicle. So that's right here. Perfect. So the vehicle is straight. I see the vehicle starting to move out. So now I'm going to start apply the brakes, slow down, slow down, slow down. This is an emergency situation, but all I need to do is slow down my speed just enough to where I can make an evasive maneuver. If I could slow down enough to right here and just let the guy go, perfect. But if not, and I'm going too high rate of speed, I'm going to slow down, slow down, slow down, applying the brakes, apply the brakes, apply the brakes, apply the brakes. At this point, release the brakes, make an evasive swerve movement to the right. So we're going to pretend I didn't hit. So it's evasive swerve movement, boom. Now we're going to go ahead and start to apply the brakes again while I'm straightening up. And now look at this. I have an open area with line of sight where if I have to use more room to slow down like a runway, then this is what I can use in this area. I have plenty of room. I can see ahead of time. But just like what happened where the person wanted to come out, now I have new hazards, new things I have to focus on and watch out for. So everybody, let's make sure that we are focused on safety when we're lane filtering if we are allowed to. Let's not assume that the driver is going to see us, especially when they have many factors against them. They have the sun in their eyes. We are going at a high rate of speed, so they can't judge our speed. They can't judge our speed because we're such a small target, and now we're going between vehicles, if they even see us. And since we're not assuming the drivers will see us, that means we are taking full responsibility. If we take full responsibility for our own actions when we're riding, then we know for a fact that we can improve ourselves and play off of other drivers because they are not doing what they're supposed to be doing, or we assume they're not supposed to be doing. We become better. If you like this type of stuff, make sure you hit that subscribe button. I see that there's 70% of you that are not subscribed but still watch this stuff. So if you would like to be a part of the crew, just hit that subscribe button. It's as simple as that. I post videos every single day, and I'm pretty sure you're going to find something that is valuable to you. With that said, hope you guys ride safe, be safe, and I'll be seeing you around. Poor communication and speed was a major factor in this crash that involved 3 motorcyclists. We're going to figure out why it happened and how we can use that information to prevent an accident for ourselves. Before we jump into this one, I want you guys to know this is actually a pretty bad crash. I do not know the full after effects, but the full video will be in the description. So let's go ahead and watch this video. We're going to have this motorcycle rider behind this Chevy Camaro. He's going to do a passing maneuver here when it's open, and then he's going to go ahead and pass. So that's where we're at. We see a motorcyclist way up front. There's brake lights being applied right now, but I don't think the rider behind him can see it. There's going to be riders behind this guy, and he's going to crash into him, and then this one's going to crash into the other. Now, that's a very severe accident. I'm sorry if you guys didn't want to see that, but this is the reality of it. Let's go ahead and jump over and see what happened. Once again, we're going to have the full video in the description, so make sure you check that out. If you want to send me your videos, there is a link to submit your own videos, and I'll be showcasing some DDFM crew members real soon. So let's go ahead and watch this. We're actually going to get to the point where we are going to be passing this vehicle. So that's when you have to increase your speed. Now, for everybody that is wondering if this guy is going about 80 to 90 miles an hour, this is in kilometers per hour. So that right there, when you're having to pass somebody, you're raising your speed, you're increasing your speed. 100 kilometers an hour is about 62 miles per hour. So that's a relatively high speed, but you're in the middle of passing. You actually see him using his indications. He's trying to be as safe as possible. And this is what can happen to many group rides, is that if there's no communication or even just poor communication of where we're turning, where we're going, what we're doing, that is not good. You need to have that in order for people to make better judgment calls. Remember, knowledge is power, especially when it comes to this. If you know where you're supposed to be going, you know that you probably could just kind of wait behind that Camaro and not have to pass, especially if we're going to be making a left-handed turn here. So it quite possibly could have been the rider up front making a judgment call saying, hey, I'm going to move left here or move right here or go straight. It doesn't really matter, but he made the judgment call to move left, and he's starting to apply the brakes right here. You can actually see his brake lights. A little bit later when we saw them crash, that is the other riders going 97 kilometers an hour or quite possibly a little bit faster trying to pass that vehicle. Once they get into their lane, they have to brake even sooner because they don't have enough time. And I think that's what happened with the rider, is that the reason why he flew across the ground is because he did grab way too much front brake, and these sport bikes have amazing front brakes, and he grabbed too much, dropped the bike, fell, kept sliding, ran into the other rider, and then the other rider ran into him. So we're going to move into this part right here. So we're revving up, and now we're having to slow down ourselves. You see how he's actually moving off to the right, and he's slowing down. So we're going about 83 kilometers an hour. We went from 97 to 83. That's still relatively fast before this turn, but he is prepping himself for this turn. Now we have the other riders coming up around that Camaro like this guy just did, but they're still in the transitional phase where they cannot slow down like this guy's doing, and that's what we're going to see right here. So he's slowing down to about 40 kilometers an hour, and you see the other motorcyclists dropping right here. We have a very dangerous situation right here. We need to understand that when we are passing vehicles, we should not just pass vehicles because our buddies passed vehicles. We need to pass vehicles when it's safe for us as a rider to do so. You hear the terms ride your own ride. That is very important in this situation. So the motorcyclist has already crashed. We have a bicyclist right here as a witness. We have the white car that was going to be oncoming traffic that the guy had to swing around. Then we also have that silver vehicle that is just kind of waiting there. We also have that Camaro that we just passed. Who knows? Maybe they are going to panic, accelerate, decelerate. We don't know. Crash into these people. We don't know. So this is a very congested and scary situation where patience could really have saved a lot of these problems. He is wearing full gear, as you can tell with the white jacket, pants, boots, and everything. So thankfully he's protecting himself just in case something does happen, which quite looks like something did happen. And if you can see right here, this tire, that is the rear tire. There's the exhaust right there. So that means he quite possibly did loop his bike, but going forward. So here is the impact. Let's go ahead and scroll back just a little bit because that was really quick. That motorcycle hit that motorcyclist right there very hard. You're going to have massive mechanism injury to that left leg. If he's wearing full gear, he's got track leathers, he's got helmet, gloves, boots, all that stuff. But guys, here's the thing. Motorcycles are inherently dangerous, and even with full gear, you can suffer severe injuries. That's just the name of the game. That's why you need to wear full gear so that the minor stuff, the stuff that could possibly be just mistakes, could hopefully be mitigated. These high risk, high skill, high speed type stuff, there's not much the gear can do other than keep you alive, but you can still have severe injuries. So we have the motorcyclist that crashed originally. He's right there. He hit his head, he hit his hands, he hit his arms. He's going to have a lot of abrasions, impacts, everything. This is why you need to wear full PPE, personal protective equipment. So we're going to move on to the next one. We're going to go frame by frame a little bit. There's the mirror of the rider that is riding right here. This is how close this was for this rider. That bar end mirror completely shattered. The rider that hit that mirror is trying to avoid the accident with the other rider to the left. You can see his brake light right there. But what's going to happen is that since they're going at such a high rate of speed and things happen way too quickly, that all he can do is ride straight. He cannot swerve to the left, swerve to the right fast enough to miss his buddy. So we're going to go ahead and go forward a little bit. He is wearing gear. He has a helmet, jacket, pants, and it looks like boots. I don't know if those are moto boots, but those look like Levi jeans, so they quite possibly aren't moto jeans. Unsure of that. Some moto jeans have something like that, like Levi's have, you know, that little leather badge on the back. But he's going to move forward, and then he's starting to apply a lot of brakes. You see how his upper body, his shoulders are pretty much vertical at this point. You're going to see about right here how he's leaning forward. That is more and more brake pressure from the front brake. He's leaning forward because the weight is transferring forward. So he's going to go forward, and there's not much you can do. The stopping distance is not enough for that speed, and he's going to run over his buddy. I'm going to go ahead and fast forward that a little bit. He's going to run over his buddy, and they're going to collide, and then he's going to fall. You see the green bike over here, but then you see the motorcyclist from over here. We're moving quite a bit. He's slid across the ground quite a bit. Now he also has the impact of another rider hitting him, a 500-pound machine running over him with very hot tires, possibly the chain, possibly the exhaust, all these different things hitting him. Thank gosh he has full gear, full leathers. Okay, that's going to pretty much be the only thing that is going to prevent a severe injury. He's probably going to get minor injuries where somebody that wasn't wearing any gear could be having severe injuries in that same exact situation. So wear full gear, everybody. So while they're moving forward, he's going to be a kind of a rag doll. He's sliding across the ground. And this is where I start to go into firefighter mode, EMS mode. Now that we saw the full mechanism, we need to understand that the rider right here is going to have massive trauma. He's going to have possible broken bones, multiple broken bones. He might have organ failure because of punctures and lacerations to the internal organs. Quite possibly has a brain injury from a concussion. So this is a multi-system trauma, and this is something that you need to call 911 right away, get EMS on scene as soon as possible, and then you might need to mitigate any type of severe injuries. Like if he's having difficulty breathing, you might have to breathe for him. If he's bleeding out, you're going to have to stop the bleeding. There's all these different things that I really wish I could show you guys right now, but I cannot do that. So the best thing you possibly could do for yourself is to take a class from accident scene management. This is something that I think everybody should be taking alongside their MSF BRC1 class as beginner riders. So we're going to go ahead and scroll back to the very beginning. So we're going to go play by play. Now that you kind of know what happened, I want you to see it in real time and pick out some of the things that could have clued you into, hey, we shouldn't be doing this, okay? Let's focus on that and then how we can prevent this stuff for ourselves. So right here, we're going to be passing this Camaro right here. So we have two buddies behind us. We have our lead in the front of us. This is where having good communication would be very important, because now we know, hey, not to pass this guy. We can turn left at this light coming up ahead. But there's nothing indicating that. So we see these brake lights quite a long ways from the motorcyclist way up front. That is a good clue to, hey, something's about to happen. He's slowing down for a reason. I don't know if he's slowing down because he's waiting for us or if he's turning down. Let's go ahead and slow down ourselves. One thing that really helped out this rider is that he moved over to lane position 3. Now, he knows he has buddies that are coming around that Camaro, and what he's doing is actually opening a spot for them to come around and stay in. It is a little bit staggered. You see the motorcycle rider up front to the left in lane position 1. We have the motorcyclist with the camera right here off in lane position 3. The next motorcyclist will go ahead and merge in and be in lane position 1, and then the one behind him should be going into lane position 3. So it's a staggered formation, but we do not have enough time for that because we're having to turn left right now. But that is the thing that caused this motorcyclist right here, the one with the camera, to not get hit, because he moved over to the side just in case. This is one of those situations where I like to park off to the side when I'm parked at a stoplight or stop sign, just in case something similar to this happening to me. It could be a car or another motorcyclist running into the person in front of me. So this is a great visual reference for what you guys need to be doing. So we're going to move up to this position. He's going to go ahead and hit this person, and then he's going to hit that person. Very quick, not much you can do. This is where you do not want to make decisions in a panic. You want to make your training work in the panic. So practice, 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 practice. Swing on by the DDFMcrew.com website if you would like to learn how to do some parking lot practicing and some road techniques and even some at-home training. Let's make sure we have great communication before the ride, during the ride, and we watch our speed. Passing brings its own hazards, and this is one of them. Today we have a video submission from a DDFM crew member, and this video is going to go a little bit too wide in the turn, and he's going to go off-road, but thankfully he's okay. Happy Friday, everybody. This is going to be a submission from a DDFM crew member, so let's go ahead and watch it. So he's riding with his buddy, and his buddy's going to point out some grass clippings. Those are pretty dangerous, but you see how the road is a little messy. We have an intersection right there. That's a driveway, but it's a beautiful day. You know, it's a simple street. There's a sign right there that says it's going to be a sharp right turn. We see his buddy up front going to prepare for it. He's braking before the turn. He's doing some pretty good stuff. There's an intersection right there. They have a stop sign. And we're going to make this turn, so that's not going to be the problem. This one right here is the blind turn. We go a little bit too fast into the side. We went a little bit wide, and we're going to find some grass and everything. His buddy's going to come back, and the full video will be in the description. And let's go ahead and jump into it. If you'd like to chat with me and other DDFM crew members, swing on by the Discord. It's an absolute free service and allows you to get in contact with me and others around the world. More information at motorcycleridingtips.com. So if you guys want to send me your videos, there will be a link in the description right above the original video link, and you can submit there, and let's go ahead and talk about this. All right, so we're going to be moving forward. Now, this whole first portion is not that big of a deal, but let's go ahead and point out the grass clipping things. I hear a lot of people talk about grass clippings. At least in Arizona, where I live, southern Arizona, we don't have a lot of grass, so I never really have to deal with it. So write in the comments if you ever had a problem with grass clippings. I personally never had a problem with grass clippings, but here's the thing is, people are saying it's super slippery, so treat it like it's almost like an oil slick. So go over it nice and smooth. If you have to, pull in the clutch like if you're going to go over ice. That way it removes power to that rear wheel, and you just kind of coast over it. and you should be good there. If it's in the middle of a turn, take it nice and easy, just like if there is a lot of rain, a lot of gravel, a lot of stuff like that. So treat it just like it's gravel. So we're gonna move forward just a little bit. There's a nice little bump there. And right here, I wanna point out that these are intersections, okay? Everyone, here's the thing. Driveways are considered intersections, and this one's a little bit blind, so you're gonna have somebody that's gonna pull out and open up the view and look both ways. So always be aware of that. So let's go ahead and move forward just a little bit here. The main thing is not these first few turns, but right here we have a sharp right turn. So this is a clue. This is a turn right here that we need to kind of focus on. The reason why I like to look at road signs as clues is because typically they're going to let you know that there's something that's going to be happening. Treat it like it's almost like a video game. You know, like in some video games where they're going to have the sign come up and you're like, oh, well, here we go. We're going to go ahead and do a sharp right turn, a sharp left turn, all these different things. Treat it that way. Start pointing out the differences. Okay. So if we go back just a little bit, we're going to notice that, you know, there's nothing here that really stands out. Okay, it's a nice straight road, everything's great, there's a lot of green, a little bit of shade, a little bit of sun, clear skies, nothing that's out of the ordinary. So once we start finding stuff that's out of the ordinary, that is where we start to develop really good habits. Okay, this is what I want you to be doing. So this right here, this sign is out of the ordinary. So start looking for stuff that pops out and is not really supposed to be there. That is a clue. Those are the things that you should point out. That is how I survived and how most firefighters survive on the fire grounds, is they start to point out stuff that's not supposed to be there. So right here, this was nobody looked. Nobody looked to the left. Okay, so there's a stop sign right there. So that is going to be a hazard that needs to be utilized. Like I said, point out the things that are not supposed to be there. That sign, even though it's not facing us, is a great indication of something that should be noticed. So that right there, let's go ahead and focus on that. So this rider, this DDFM crew member, didn't notice it. The rider up front didn't notice it, and we trusted that people would stop at the stop sign. I never trust anybody other than myself and my skills. So we're going to move forward, and he's going to make this turn really well. So we're going about 39 miles an hour. Not a big deal. It's actually a pretty good speed, you know, 40 miles an hour. I typically take turns at about 15 to 20. Especially ones that are intersections. So a little bit fast, you know, we're going through this, we're having fun. That's perfectly fine. Just let's make sure that we watch, you know, the stop signs and look for those clues. So right here, this is a blind turn. You just saw your buddy go through there. You don't know where he's going. You don't know where the exit is. You can kind of follow it based on the tree line, because the trees are right next to the road. So you can actually kind of see how sharp the turn is. If you look up here, that is going to be an indication. That is another clue. And a lot of things that people don't look at, they really focus on the road itself. But I mean, look at the trees. Okay, the trees are connected to the road more than likely. So let's go ahead and utilize that. That is going to be our indication of how sharp the turn is. You kind of have to do this mental math, this mental geography in your head when you're riding. And it's a lot, but you start to get better and better and better at it when you start picking out different things. So a little tip for you guys there. So let's move forward just a little bit. This right here, let's stick to what we know. Okay, so we have a line right here. So this is like a little gutter. This is the edge of the road. If we stick to that, I'm not saying let's be on it, but I'm saying let's utilize that as a line of reference for the road itself. Let's use it. So that way we kind of know which direction it's going. So this is where slow, look, press, and roll will play a huge role in this. And if you slow down before the turn, you can't look very far, so you're having to slow down even more. You're going to press, obviously, to make the turn, and then roll on the throttle on the way out. Okay, so really focus on that. Slow down prior to this. We're going about 47 miles an hour. So if we slow down to maybe 40, I think we would have had a better chance to recognize that. So remember, 47 to 40 is not a lot. So if we just remove about 5 to 10% of our speed, that's going to give us a half second to maybe even a full second of search, evaluate, execute. So this is going to allow us to analyze what's going on here. So let's go ahead and move forward just a little bit, see how the turn is actually not that bad. We just went a little too fast. We started off on a very early apex. Now the apex, all that is the moment you're closest to the inside of the turn. So we're the closest right here to the inside of the turn, and that is before the turn even really starts. So I know this is a blind turn, so you don't want to go too wide just in case there's a car coming, but let's go ahead and stay in about, you know, the lane position 2. If we're going to stay in lane position 3, we need to slow down because our line of sight is not the greatest. So we're going to move forward just a little bit, and here we go. We have, you know, the open road, and we start to panic. Okay, so the where we're looking right now is down the road, but as soon as we get to about right here, our vision changes, and now we're focused to the actual side of the road. So right here, we really need to commit to it. And in this situation where the slow look, press, and roll, if you didn't do that, this is where trail braking and understanding how to use 10% or maybe even 20% of your braking power will help you out. So this is where the advanced skill comes in. So you have two tools, slow look, press, and roll, and then you have the trail braking, which is going to help out. Trail braking is not a braking technique, it is a cornering technique. So let's utilize trail braking in the corners when we have the experience and we've laid down the foundation of slow look, press, and roll. So right here, trail braking would have definitely helped him in this situation. And we already do that in our cars. If you think about it, we're driving our cars, and if we go into a turn a little bit too sharp, we start to apply a little bit of brakes. We kind of let off the gas and apply a little brakes. And that's the same thing. That's the same concept. So right here, we're looking straight down, and we're like, oh no, we're almost about to make it. And the main thing here is that if you're not going to make it, just kind of prepare yourself, loosen up, and just accept what's happening. If you stay rigid, you're going to be a very bad victim of physics. And if you ever notice drunk drivers or, you know, people that were knocked out in a crash prior to the actual crash and they ragdoll it, they tend to not get as injured. So we're going to hit this at 34 miles an hour. And there's a tree right there. Thankfully, he was able to miss the tree, and that's pretty much what you're trying to do in this situation. If you see an object, try your best not to hit the hardest object, hit the softest object, and that's what he did. He did a good job here. But 34 miles an hour, that is a deadly speed. 20 miles an hour is a deadly speed. 10 miles an hour is a deadly speed. You'd be surprised what you can do to your body if you are traveling at any rate of speed faster than walking. Even standing and then falling down can cause a terrible brain injury. So this is why full gear, PPE, personal protective equipment for yourself, is super important. A minor incident like this at 34 miles an hour could turn deadly if you don't have a helmet, you don't have any gear for your arms or your legs. Because remember, if you break a femur, your femur has the most blood flow through a long bone than any other bone you have. So if you break a femur, you're going to bleed. You also have a femoral artery right next to your femur. That's why it's called the femoral artery. And if you cut that or you nick it or you sever it, you're dead within a minute. And there's nothing anybody can do about that. So having full gear is very important, okay, everybody? So having the hip armor, knee armor, shoulder armor, elbow armor, helmet, gloves, boots, pants, jacket, all that stuff, wear full gear. So we're going to go ahead and go into this. He hits a bump. So you notice how the camera is a little bit slanted right here. That means he's about to fall. He's about to go down. So right there's not much you can do. So we see this happen a lot. See how the handlebars are turned and then falling down? That's typically a brake issue when we're going straight on a road. This right here, this is just a loss of traction on the front tire because we're off-road. We hit a bump. We're now in the air, and that's what happens. So this is kind of what it looks like. And now we're going to drop the bike, okay? So this right here, even that moment of falling over and dropping the bike, if you hit your head, you're either going to have a headache or you're going to have a brain bleed or a concussion or anything. You'd be surprised how hard your head can hit and how much damage that can do to your brain. So that's why you need to wear a helmet. My wife, when she was in the MSF BRC1, she stopped at a line. You know, we're in a line and everything. And she was clapping for somebody in class, which is great. I love the encouragement. And that is something that happens a lot in class. People encourage you, so don't be scared to take a class. But anyways, she stopped. She had her handlebars turned. She went to clap for somebody. The bike fell over. She smacked her head, and she had a headache for about 2 days. And that concerned me because usually if you have a headache for any length of time, probably a mild concussion. So that was that. I kept an eye on her. She was doing fine. So you'll heal up pretty quick. So right here, we're going to go ahead and get up to here. So he shuts off the bike. Perfect. Okay, we're in vegetation. You don't want any hot parts, you know, causing a fire or anything. So the next goal would be to pick up the bike. So we're going to pick up the bike, and there's different ways of picking up a bike, but it's actually working really well for him in this situation because he's not having to lift it against gravity too much because it's already in the ditch. So he has a better leverage position. If you want to learn more about how to pick up your bike, I do have a video that will be in the description. So he's going to pull out the vegetation. So right now, his concern is his bike. And if his concern is his bike, more than likely he's not going to be as injured as most people would be. Typically, if you hit your head and you have a concussion, you're kind of confused, not really focusing on the bike. So this is really good. The full video is going to have his buddy come back, and they're going to talk about, hey, man, I told you to take it easy and all this other stuff. So please watch the original video. But this was a good video that was introduced to me by video submission. So if you guys would like to submit your own videos to me so I can go ahead and talk about it, please do so. I'm going to try to make it happen every Friday, video submission Friday. And it'd be great. You know, if you want to learn more about, you know, what to do, how to do things, make sure you hit that subscribe button. I noticed that there's 70% of you that watch these videos that are not subscribed. Let's change that number. Let's see if we can get 50-50. I think that'd be kind of cool. With that said, hope you guys ride safe, be safe, and I'll be seeing you around. This zoned out rider is going to learn a valuable lesson in making sure you zone in, not zoning out. This is going to be a blink and you're going to miss it type of accident. We're not paying attention up front. We have brake lights, stop lights up ahead at an intersection, and we're going to keep going straight, and last second, boom, hit the car. If you'd like to chat with me and other DDFM crew members, swing on by the Discord. It's an absolute free service and allows you to get in contact with me and others around the world. More information at motorcycleridingtips.com. So this is a very unfortunate accident, and this is something that's going to happen quite a bit if you're not paying attention. It could be a vehicle up front, or it can be an obstacle up front, like something in the road, like a pothole, or a speed bump, or a piece of wood, or nails, just glass everywhere. This is easily something that can happen. And the whole point of this is that you need to zone in and not zone out. So we're going to use this information so that we can become better riders. This is one of those what if situations that I really want you guys to start focusing on. And thankfully for this person, we're able to see this. We don't want to make these mistakes ourselves. So yes, there's an American flag here, and that means it's miles per hour. I know in the last few videos I've mentioned kilometers per hour. I just can't assume that these people are going that fast. So yes, this is America right here. This is the United States. This is going to be miles per hour. So we're going to be moving forward here, and we have a stoplight up ahead. Now, whenever you have stoplights up ahead, that is a good indication that we should probably be slowing down, getting prepared for any type of intersections. We also have an intersection right here, so you're able to just kind of relax a little bit. There's no cars wanting to pull out, so this hazard is complete, this hazard right here. But we're going to move up ahead a little bit more right here, and we have brake lights. Okay, we have this car up ahead, has brake lights. We are now needing to slow down. There's you can see the lights for the intersection up ahead, and you can also see the light poles, but this car right here has slowed down. So I don't know if he's listening to music. I don't know if he's talking to someone. I don't know if he's just kind of off into space, daydreaming about his day at work. But this is one of those things where you have to make sure you are paying attention. If you're not paying attention, this is the type of stuff that can happen. So at this situation, let's say you saw what happened. Okay, let's assume that he saw this. He sees the car up ahead. What do? We're traveling at a higher rate of speed than what we are for this situation. This situation calls for us to already be slowing down and getting prepared to a stop. And right now, in this situation, we are still traveling like there's nothing there, so we're not ready for a stop. But we recognize we just did our search, and we are evaluating if this is a hazard. Now we have to make an executable evasive maneuver. So we can either swerve to the left, swerve to the right, because braking at this point is not going to be the best thing if it's used by itself. So if you just try to brake and that's it, you're going to run to the back of the car. There's not enough stopping distance. So what we can do is, like I said, swerve. So let's go ahead and brake before and then swerve either to the left or the right, or swerve to the left and the right and then slow down and brake. So what do you guys think is the best option here? I want you guys to write in the comments what you think you would be doing. I'm going to tell you what I would be doing. In this situation, I see that the truck on the right is actually still moving. There's plenty of room for that truck to go, and he's going to go all the way to the front. There's absolutely zero reason for him to stop right there, so he's not going to be a hazard in your path. So what I would do is I would swerve to the right, and I would get right on the line. Okay, I would be right on the line, and then I'd move over to the right, because I don't want to get directly behind a trailer. So I'd move to the line. That way I'm out of the path of the vehicles in front of me. Then I would start slowing down, either using engine braking, which is rolling off the throttle and letting the engine RPMs dictate how fast you're going, or I would be applying brake pressure at the same time. That way I just slow down. I'm not trying to stop. I'm just going to slow down. I already did my swerve. Now I'm slowing down, and then I'm letting that truck go way ahead, and then I'm going to move over to where the truck is right now. That way I have my own line. This is the type of situation where you just don't want to zone out, because you're not going to have enough time. That's the whole point. If you zone out, you're not going to have enough time to react. You need to zone in. I keep saying this over and over again in this video because I want you guys to understand that. So we're going to move up to this point, and you can kind of see where the tires and the shield is starting to move. So the camera is on his face. So the windshield is right around half the screen because the camera's on his face. When we get to this point, you're going to see how the windshield has shifted. That's because he applied brake pressure and his body actually went forward. And that's what happens to your front tire when you start applying brake pressure, is that all the weight just goes forward. And when you have a bigger contact patch, because the weight's on the front tire, you can actually stop better. But like I said, you're not going to be able to stop in time because there was just not enough distance. So if you get into this situation, release the brakes, do a very quick evasive maneuver to the left or the right. In this situation, since the position he's in, you're probably going to have to go to the left, because that's going to be a really hard push all the way to the right. But you can do it. You can definitely do it if you practice, and you'll know your own skill set. But right here, the easiest option probably would be to swerve to the left, and you have plenty of room here. It doesn't look like it's plenty of room because because we're used to driving in cars, but as a motorcycle rider, we can actually squeak by in that little spot. So you have two options. You have one to the left, one to the right. The stopping, so the deceleration is an escape path. We don't have enough, so we cannot use that. Going forward is not an escape path because therefore we're going to hit the car. So the only escape paths we really have is to the left and to the right. So make sure you have at least one escape path at all times. Remember, you can go forward, backwards, side to side. Those are escape paths. He doesn't do that. He hits the vehicle. And let's go ahead and talk a little bit about the EMS side. Let's talk about some of the dangers and some of the issues that he has. And you can see his cell phone right there. He's definitely not on his cell phone. It's a black screen. But who knows? Maybe he has music on. Music is not a big problem as long as you're using your visual portion. You kind of remove the auditory. Let's use our visual so we can see ahead of time. Plus, vision is very important. But anyways, let's talk about EMS portion of this. So he's going to move forward just a little bit, and that's going to be a massive impact. You see how you can see the handlebars right here? But as soon as we impact, that vehicle stops, but you keep going. The momentum of you keep going. So he went through his own windshield. He also went up and over quite possibly, and then hit his legs, hit his arms, and hit his fingers, you know, everything on that right side. It's probably going to be an angular type incident. It's not going to be directly a frontal impact type thing. It's going to be an angular. So what that means is that he's going to hit it, and he's going to spin, and he's going to probably get ejected on this. So he's going to have a lot of trauma to his right side because of the vehicle, but he's also going to have a lot of trauma to his left side. But the main mechanism of injury here is going to be towards the right side. So I'm looking towards, you know, his right shoulder, right hands, right arms, right legs, his hip, the iliac crest, which is the portion of the hip that you can kind of feel if you reach down right now. That's the iliac crest. You can easily crack that in a vehicle accident like this. So he's going to have a lot of trauma there, and there's not much you can do when it comes to that because the way motorcycle armor is designed, it's meant for tumbling. If you ever notice that it's on your elbows, your shoulders, your hips, your knees, and then you have your head. There's nothing for your chest, abdomen, you know, the femurs or anything like that. It's not designed to be fully encapsulating. It's designed for when you hit something or if you low side, you start tumbling, it's going to protect all the areas that's going to hit first on the ground. That's all that's going to happen. So you guys need to be paying attention so that you don't have big issues when it comes to riding and then crashing. So wear your gear. It's designed for a specific purpose, but this is one of those things where I think it's lacking in protection, where we don't have full chest gear, we don't have abdomen gear, we don't have femur gear. So I think manufacturers need to work on that. But we're going to hit, and this is the one thing I love about going frame by frame, because sometimes we might be able to catch something, but probably not in this situation. He's going to be in a lot of pain. I do not know the aftermath. The video is going to be in the description. If you want to send me your videos so I can go over them and talk about what happened, what went right, what went wrong, and for everybody to see and learn from the mistake that you possibly made, please click that link in the description right above where the original video is. That is going to be a video submission form. But let's go ahead and go back real quick. Luckily, we have a lot of video beforehand, so we're going to see a little bit. We're going to talk through it just like we did originally. And here it is. So we have a lot of traffic. There's a median in the road. We're kind of just cruising by. It's pretty easy. There's a sign. Let's go ahead and go back just a little bit. There's a sign saying that there's an intersection. That's a T intersection, so that's a great clue. But we're going to keep moving forward, moving forward, moving forward. And I don't know what he's exactly looking at. He's looking straight. I haven't seen a head check or anything. I personally like to check my mirrors every so often, but there's vehicles in front. So this is also one of those unintentional blindness things that we complain about car drivers all the time, where they don't see us. Well, this guy did not see this vehicle at all, and it's not because he didn't mean to, because I definitely think that he doesn't want to crash, but I think it's just because we're not paying attention to what we're doing. So guys, let's make sure we're paying attention. We zone in, not out, and have our escape paths, everybody. If you're part of the 70% that is not subscribed but watches these videos, how about you just click that subscribe button? I post these videos almost every single day. That way you guys can look at what if scenarios. You know, you guys ask all the time, what if this happens? What if this happens? Well, thankfully we have a very good plethora of stuff out there on the internet that we can actually do this, and I can talk about it. So if you like that, click that subscribe button when it's open, and then he's going to go ahead and pass. So that's where we're at. We see a motorcyclist way up front. There's brake lights being applied right now, but I don't think the rider behind him can see it. There's going to be riders behind this guy, and he's going to crash into him, and then this one's going to crash into the other. Now, that's a very severe accident. I'm sorry if you guys didn't want to see that, but this is the reality of it. Let's go ahead and jump over and see what happened.